Oh, we're live. Hello. Hello, everybody. And thank you for joining us again today. Today, I've got a very special guest, Tony Longmore from F11 Photography, who is going to be talking to us and giving us some really good tips and advice on how to take photographs of your products that you can then share on social media or put onto your shops or your website, etc., etc. So if you are watching on YouTube, please do give us a thumbs up. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel where I share lots of social media tips and advice every week, every Monday, 12:30. Now, if you're watching this live, please do introduce yourselves. We'd love to know who you are, what you do. And also, if you've got any questions, please do ask us lots of questions because we like lots of questions. If you're watching this on catch up, please do put some questions in the comments below because we will come back to them and answer them as well. Because I know photography is quite a hot topic, and we were talking about it earlier, weren't we, Tony? About a lot of what Tony does to him is quite simple, but to us mere mortals who only have a phone, you just click a button to take a photo. But there's an awful lot more to it than that, isn't there? So go on, Tony. Do you want to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about how we can improve our amazing photos?
Of course, yeah. So I am Tony. Thanks for the introduction, Bex, and thanks for inviting me on today. Great opportunity to share information about how to get the best product shot. So there's loads of things to consider. So I'll start off with the most basic one, which you can't take a photo unless you've got some light. So lighting is imperative. Now, light comes in many forms, and funnily enough, it comes in many different colours, and that's something else that I want to touch on later on. The colour of light is very important. So we've got daylight, that's the obvious one. So if you've got a table, put it in front of a window, make sure the window is behind you, and put your products on the table. So the window's behind you, products on the table, and if you can, cover that window with some net, just to diffuse the lighting, make it a bit softer and less directional. So that's the best light you can get, but we live in England, and unfortunately, there's not much light around. So it's free. That's another bonus for daylight, and it's a good quality of light because the sun's a great provider of light, and we see with our eyes, and it's the stuff we use every single day.
So daylight outside. How about doing it if it's a nice day?
Outside's great, but you've still got to diffuse that sun. You've still got to put something in between the sun and the product, otherwise you'll get really harsh light, really harsh shadows, and you've got very little to go on in terms of creativity, because the light's there, you can't move it, you can't move the sun. So although it's a good quality light, there's very little you can do with it for creative product photography. So you can't, because you can't move it, and all you can do is put a diffuser over it, and you can't hide things from the sun, you can't direct it in another place. So what you can do outside, which is a great tip, is take a white piece of board with you. And if the sun's on this side and your product's in the middle, put a white piece of board on the other side so that the sun hits the board and bounces back into the dark side of the product. So you get a lot more even lighting. Use a white board, don't use a coloured board, because that colour will transfer onto your product. And the idea about a good product photograph is that you get the perfect colour of it. I mean, if you've got a red dress, it needs to come across on the photograph as red. But if you put a blue piece of board there, or you're near a brick wall, which is sort of dark red or brown, that colour will transmit onto your product.
Yeah.
So the sun's a great source, and it's free. So that's the cheapest possible lighting you can get, which everybody likes cheap, don't they?
Definitely.
So the next one up from daylight is continuous lighting. So it's bulb, but don't think for a minute that you can use the bulb that's in your house, because I'm sure if you've ever come across film and you've taken a picture of inside the house using the bulb, everything's orange. That light is tungsten, and tungsten is orange. So the colour of light, I touched on that earlier on. Daylight's great, bulb isn't. So you can get certain daylight bulbs. They're about £10 each, and you can plug them into your sockets in the house if you want to. You can get a lamp and plug a daylight bulb in it.
Okay.
The colour of the daylight is around 5,500 degrees Kelvin. Now we measure colour of light in Kelvin, and 5,500 is the same colour as the sun.
5,500. Oh, right, okay. And it's
5,000
actually just called a daylight bulb. So if you search
daylight bulb. Yeah, if you search for that on eBay, they come at about £10 each. They're quite long, sort of. You can get like a pig's tail curly light, and they go round like a phosphorus kind of light.
Yeah.
They're very fragile, so be careful. You can actually buy lighting kits off eBay for about £40, including the daylight bulb, and they come with a softbox and a lighting stand, and that's what I used to use years ago when I first started out in photography. I used the daylight studio kit. You can get them off eBay for about £40 to £45. In fact, I'm using them today to light me up here, so we use them in the studio for video conferencing.
And actually, your lighting is very, very uniform. It looks really good. My lighting, you can see I've got a light shining off my head here.
Yeah, well, I turned off.
Yeah, natural daylight. Yeah. I've got a light here. I've got my surrounding lights, but yeah, they're a bit harsh, mine. I haven't quite managed to master it. But yours looks great. So how have you managed to get that beautiful uniform light with you?
Well, basically, imagine I'm a product. I'm using daylight bulbs.
Right.
I'm in the studio at the moment. I'm in the baby studio. So there's a lot of lighting around me at the moment, but I'm using daylight bulbs. They're at 5,500 degrees Kelvin. One's pointed to a big white board on the wall. So the reflector I spoke about earlier on, that's putting soft light back into the product. So we imagine I'm the product, big light over there, shining onto a white wall and reflecting back to me. That's nice.
Not actually shining on you.
Yeah, no shadows. If I put my hands here, very limited shadows. If you put your hand up, you'll cover there'll be black marks on your face, your head. You can see that.
And if I move my microphone, look. Ooh.
Yeah, shadows in the way, but I can get in front of my lights, and there's no shadows on me. So that's the big white board there.
Right. Okay.
So that's daylight. That's called continuous lighting, and that's particularly if you've got to use a long shutter speed, which is a technical term we use on DSLRs. But the next one is flash. Flash could be expensive. I think one flash gun without anything else on it is about £600. That's what I use.
Right.
I'm after getting the best possible image.
And is a flash gun like a flash that you attach it to?
It's a flash head, so it's yay big, and it's called a monoblock, and the battery operated, so I can take them outside. I can use them outside. And it's a strong flash, so I can't say I can overpower the sun, but I can match it in terms of strength. So if I've got the sun giving harsh light, I can get the flash on the other side and give similar harsh light, so I can evenly light something. We use them at weddings and things like that. Yeah. But for a good product photography, for a product photo shot, using 4 of those lights probably I would use to light a simple product like a shoe. And
that stops it getting those shadows, doesn't it? Because I've got shadows.
The diffusion in front of the light stops the shadow. So a net curtain, for example, in front of your window, your shadows will be a lot softer.
Yeah.
You still need shadows. You've still got to have shadows, otherwise you'll have no shape or form. But it's using those shadows creatively.
Yeah.
So we use flash in the studio. It's instant. It lasts about 0.002 of a second. So I can use very fast shutter speeds, or I can use long shutter speeds. It doesn't really matter in the studio. It's very, very creative. You can do what you want with flash. You can turn it up or down. You can give different power levels.
Yeah.
We mentioned the daylight earlier on. You can get a knob where you can turn them up or down, but they're not very strong. That's one of the downsides of continuous lighting. Flash is very, very powerful, very strong. Depending on which one you get, of course, and how much money you spend, usually dictates how strong the flash is.
So why is it, go on, tell us, Tony, why is it so important to have decent photos across our social media, across our websites?
Well, the whole purpose of a product shot is that you want your product to sell. I've got a little story. I've got a friend of mine who he turns wooden pens. So he gets on the lathe and he turns his pens and he takes the photos of them and puts them on his website. And he found out he wasn't getting very many sales, a couple of 3 in a year is what he was getting. So I said, listen, Mike, I said, well, I want to do you a favor, but I want you to feed back to me how this helps you. So I'm going to photograph your pens. So I photographed 100 pens of his. And I got a letter off him about 3 months later saying his sales had gone through the roof. all the sales that he'd made were from my product photographs. It was the best feedback I could have got. His photos were okay. It showed there were pens, and he did them on a camera, a real camera, rather than on his phone. But the sales went through the roof, and he wrote me a letter thanking me for it. And he sent me his brochure with all my photographs in it, and he was absolutely made up. So now he's off and running. So he'll come back to me now for the product photographs, because you're almost guaranteed to sell more of them. The only time it doesn't work in terms of economy is when you've got a bespoke product, so it's a one-off item. If you're selling the same item many times, get a professional product photograph on it, is my advice. If you've got a bespoke item, then it can become uneconomical to photograph each bespoke item that's different.
Yeah, because no, you're absolutely right, isn't it? Yeah, otherwise it's going to take, you guys don't come for free, do you? So
well, I've got to eat.
Yeah, exactly. So no, that's a really good point, actually. And it is thinking about, if you have got that evergreen product, you want to showcase it to the best of its ability, don't you?
Absolutely. If you only get one chance to make a first impression, don't you? And it's the same for products. So if you show your product and it's and you've used a filter, for example, another tip that I've written down here: don't use filters on your products. If you're using a camera, if you use an actual camera, the only filter that you should use on the front of your lens is to stop the glare. That's all. Don't colour your photographs, because your product should show their true colour. We actually use something called a colour passport to get the correct colours. I've got it here. So we photograph that and make sure that all these colours are exact. So if you've got a red dress, I'll get the exact same colour of that dress on the photograph. And that's skin. It works the same on skin. It works the same on everything. So we use that. And it's only a colour chart. It's by a company called X-Rite. But they're very expensive. Anything to do with photography is expensive if you're going down the professional route. So this little piece of plastic with a lot of colours on it, £100.
Wow.
Yeah, so just a piece of plastic. But they give you a nice lanyard to put around your neck.
Yeah. Makes you look, too professional.
Expect gold plated for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So getting the colour right is another thing to get your colour absolutely spot on. So don't use filters. Filters are only for Instagram. Don't use them anywhere else.
And I think that's a really good point, actually, because Instagram is you capturing products, and it's, they fall down a timeline and things like that. But if you've got like your Facebook page or your website or Pinterest, I mean, Pinterest is one of my favorite social media platforms, whereby, you're taking photographs of products that you're putting on your Facebook shop. That could go obviously on your Instagram shop as well, if you set that up, and also on your Pinterest pages. Then they've got to be true pictures, haven't they?
Yes.
Particularly if they're things like clothes or, lifestyle products that you might be putting in the home, because if it's the wrong colour, you're potentially going to get returns and people not very happy. So that's a really important point. And you do only have, I've worked with a lot of clients, and it's all about first impressions. It's all about when they jump onto your Instagram page, when they jump onto your Facebook page, whichever social media, Pinterest, if you can see really great photos that are stunning, that show the whole product, then you've captivated them, haven't you?
Yeah. Which really takes me to my next point, really. I mean, phones are great, aren't they? The photographs that you come off phones nowadays, you wouldn't believe you could do that in such a short time. But at the end of the day, the phone's lens is yay big.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The lens on a DSLR camera is yay big, and there's a reason for that. And also the sensor on a phone is very, very small, and on a DSLR professional camera, it's about 20 times bigger. And that means you can capture more detail and detail in your product. If you've got a product that has got detail, like clothes, like the natural cloth, or something technical, like the buttons on a camera, for example, you need to get right in and get that detail, don't you? Yeah. With a phone, it's very, very difficult, because the closer you get to a product with your phone, you're in your own light, for one, because you're covering your light. Yeah. But you can't get the detail. You can't get the detail on such a small sensor. That you need a bigger sensor to get the detail. So if you've got a detailed product, then again, I'd look along the lines of professional photographies or DSLR camera.
Yeah. And also, I think, us as business owners, sometimes when we're taking pictures of our products, we don't think the way the customer might think. Whereas I know that you as photographers are a little bit more artistic in the way you take your photos as well. Whereas we might just go, oh, quick snap, there we go, job's a good one. Whereas actually there's a lot more art really to it, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I scroll through, and that's exactly what people do, don't they? They scroll through social media, and when they see a photograph that's outstanding, they stop.
Yeah.
So next time you're on Pinterest and you're scrolling through, ask yourself why you actually stopped. What made you stop at that particular picture? Was it taken? Is it a high quality photograph? Was it taken with the very expensive gear? Unfortunately, it's one of the downsides of product photography. You need the expensive gear to get it right. But the phone photos, pretty much people just scroll right past.
Yeah. But if they're going to be hanging around on your social media, whether it's your banner or your Facebook, your Instagram shop, your Pinterest pages, because they hang around for ages, for years. I've still got people who are repinning pins that I've done back in 2018 of a certain product. It's really important to get them right. I think for your quick snapshots of the day that fall down your social media feed, not necessarily. It's not critical, is it?
No, all day long use your phone. I actually use my phone, and I've got to be very careful when I use my phone. It has to be a reasonable photograph, even if it's just compositionally. It has to be a reasonable photograph when I use my phone. So I very rarely put anything on my business social media or business media, whatever you want to call it, that isn't a reasonable shot, unless it's catching somebody in a situation where it has to be a quick snap. People read a lot into a photographer's social media, but other social media, it doesn't matter at all. You can just have fun with your camera basically and just capture the moment with the story.
Yeah, and that's it. Useful tips as well, just to let people know as well. If you have got Facebook and Instagram shop, obviously your Instagram shop has to be hosted on Facebook. For those of you that don't know, but now shops are available to any Instagram business profile. So it used to have to have about 10,000 followers to create an Instagram shop, but now any business can create an Instagram shop, which is brilliant. But you've got to create it on your Facebook page. Just top tips though on that. It has to be on a white background for your Instagram shop to showcase your products. So, we were talking a bit about lifestyle, putting it in a beautiful, putting your products in beautiful surroundings. Unfortunately, for your Facebook, it's got to be on a white background showing just the product. Pinterest, though, that's a fantastic platform for that. And then with Facebook as well, you want them square, but also if you're selling clothes or jewelry, you haven't to show any flesh. I was working with a client who sells T-shirts before Christmas, and he put a load of T-shirts on and he cropped the head off. This is quite interesting. Just cropped the head off, and it was a model wearing the T-shirt with just his arms showing with a T-shirt on, and they declined it because it was showing too much flesh. So again, just some tips when you are thinking about your photos on your social media. Do check out the terms and conditions of each platform because they do differ.
Yeah, if you're taking photographs for Amazon as well, they have the same policy where your first photograph has to be just the product on its own, not in lifestyle, cut out basically on a white background. I don't know if people have heard of Canva. Canva has a remove background facility, which is absolutely great for your products. I'm not sure if it's available in the free version, but certainly the paid version, it's about $10 a month or something. You can just press one button and it removes the background. Hey ho.
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's a brilliant tip. And I think we were chatting away earlier, weren't we, Tony, about sometimes you upload a picture and it's just a little bit too big for whatever you might want to be doing on social media or whatever. Thumbnails for YouTube, for example, have to be a certain size. So you were telling me about a great little app before, weren't you, on that actually makes them pitch images a bit smaller if they're too large.
Yeah, I mean, it's a free service. I came across it on, I'm not sure it was one of your webinars at some point, Bex. It's called Tiny JPEG, and there's another one called Tiny PNG. So if you've got a JPEG straight out of your camera and it's like megapixels, you can just drag it onto Tiny JPEG and it does a right-sized size for the photograph. So you can just drag and drop, and it does it all for you. It's a great little free tool online, tiny JPEG.
All right, I'll share that one. Tiny JPEG, and then there's a tiny PNG.
Tiny PNG.
Yeah, and that's brilliant, because do you know what? The amount of times you try and load something up, well, I do, and it's just like, oh no, it's too big. It's too big. And it won't work. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Even, I was helping my kids with some homework at the weekend and on a PowerPoint. It's like, no, it's too big to email. So if I'd have known that would have been great.
Yeah, for email and to put onto your website, because your website, you only get given a certain amount of space for your website. So you don't want to be uploading really big photographs. Shrink them down in using tiny JPEG and upload them there.
Yeah, no, that's a really good idea. So Esther's asked, have you got any tips if you're taking pictures of chocolate? Because Esther makes beautiful handmade chocolates.
I've seen Esther's chocolate. It looks yum. I'm going to have some of that. So chocolate, yeah. Again, if you're selling it on your Instagram, Facebook, you have to have it on a white background. Is that right, Beck? So I don't sell on Facebook. So the white background, if you take a picture, if you want your white background, take a picture of your chocolate bar. Just concentrate on your chocolate bar. Don't worry about the background at all. Whatever colour it is, don't worry about it. Better on light grey or white. So lay the chocolate down on a light grey or white piece of paper. Photograph it. Get it into Canva if it's got that facility available for free. If not, there's people on Fiverr that can remove the background and put a shadow in for you. So that was another tip that I wrote down. Fiverr is Fiverr, 2 R's at the end of Fiverr. And typically, it's, surprisingly enough, it's around a $5 in cost. It's an American site mainly. It's all in Asia and America. But typically a £5 will remove backgrounds for about 5 images. So
right, okay, that's good.
Nice little tip for you there, and I can't wait to try some of that chocolate.
Yeah, no, it is particularly delicious. So what then, just to summarise, to sort of round off then, Tony, what would your overarching, just to summarise, your advice be on, particularly if you're a small business, there's a lot of small businesses started up over the last 12 months that are selling products. What would be your approach as a small business when you're starting out?
My advice, and I get asked this quite a lot from businesses that have started up recently, my advice to those would be to start to invest in their own studio to save money, their own portable studio. If they're going to be doing a lot of products, then do consider in the price of the product, the price of the photography if you're going to use a professional. So like Esther with the chocolate, if she came to a professional, she would have to put the price of the chocolate up.
Yes.
In order to pay for the product photographs. And that's not unheard of, that's just business. That's the reason why the big companies, the Roundtrees, what have you, can charge more for their chocolate than others can, because they use professional photography. They don't take the photographs on a phone. They have a professional, maybe even in-house if they're going to get a lot of products. So they've got a high budget on there. So start to invest in a good camera, a good background. So you can buy paper rolls of background, any colour. They're available on eBay, and just hang them from a pole in front of your window if you want to use your daylight. So a really uncluttered background I would use.
Okay.
The focus does need to be on your product. So we were going on before about lifestyle and having flesh in. The focus is on the product. So don't have anything else that's imposing on your photograph. If you've got a beautiful lady holding a nice wax candle, what are people looking at? You're sharing that attention between the beautiful lady and the candle. So just have a candle. Get rid of the distractions. Just have the candle on a plain background with no clutter. So you can have a simple setup for about £100, £150, including your lights and your background.
That's really good. Yeah, and I think that's really important, because your products should be zoomed in on your products, and then your social media can sell your products with the beautiful lady holding the candles. But ultimately, when they jump through to your shopping cart, to your Facebook shop, to your whatever, however you're selling your products, it should just be that product, shouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Focus on the product that you're selling.
So if people do need help with a professional photographer, Tony, then how do they get in touch with you?
We're all over social media, Bex, thanks to you. We're on top of Facebook, Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, and you can go via our website, which is f11photography.co.uk.
Okay, I'll share that for you.
I'm just, while you're onto that, Bex, I am running some courses in the summer, hopefully, if we can.
Okay.
Teaching people things like product photography, portrait photography, and how to use their camera and lighting and things like that. I run all sorts of courses in the summertime.
Oh, that would be great. Well, if you could share that then, Tony, if you've got any links ready for booking, yeah, do share those and we can put them in the chat afterwards, or I can put them in the blog when we write the blog up as well.
Yeah,
from this
and they're held here in the photo studio, so it's right in the middle of town.
And go on, tell us where you're based.
Based at, everybody knows in Warrington, Evans House, opposite the stadium. We're on the ground floor, next to 147 Snooker Club. So I can always nip next door for a game of snooker if I want to.
Yeah, brilliant. And actually, yeah, that Evans House is huge. It's got loads of small businesses in there.
32, I believe. 32 businesses in the building, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. Oh, well, thank you so much, Tony. It's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. And some of those tips, I'm definitely going to consider some of your photography workshops because I love taking pictures, but I'm not very good at it.
The most popular hobby in the world.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody's got a camera.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, Tony recently took a lot of my headshots for my social media. Again, you know, for those formal images, I do use a professional photographer, but then for my day-to-day social media feed, because it's quite fast and rapid, it's just me. But then you'll quite often see quite a few of my photos recently have been taken by the lovely Tony. So thank you so much for joining us. My Lex workshop, if you do want to get your heads around Pinterest, if you do sell on eBay, on Etsy, on Amazon, or have any, you know, wherever you sell, whatever platform you sell at, Pinterest is the top driver to your website. Love Pinterest because your pins stay around forever, your little posts. It's like a big search engine, and they also encourage every single pin you do, they encourage you to put a link on there, which is like no other social media platform. So I love it. It's one of the top drivers to some of my clients' websites as a result of that. So if you want more details, I shall share those with you I'll put a link in the chat as well, but here's just, I think you'll find me on Eventbrite. Now, won't be any live stream next week because it's half term. So I've got the kids to entertain, but I will be back the week after again at 12:30 as normal on the Monday. If you are watching, please do give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Click the subscribe button and click that bell, and then you'll get notifications every time I go live, which is really useful. So thank you everyone for watching, and huge thank you to Tony. Thank you very much. Well, we shall see you soon. And again, if you've got any questions, please just put them in the chat and we can answer them afterwards. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
See you soon. Bye.